Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to your fave film critic, the podcast starring your favorite film critic, me, Dom Griffin. This is the season finale of the first season, the first year of the pod. I mean, I started at mid-year, so it's not like a full year. We can't call this like we're not there yet, obviously, but this is episode 24. 24 episodes of the podcast. On time, 24 weeks in a row. Kind of a huge thing for me. If you've been following the pod or even previously just the channel in general, you'd know that I, post end of lockdown, I guess I've not been as consistent with putting out content as I would like to be. One of the only nice things about the pandemic, if you can call it a nice thing, was just from March 2020 to, I would say, August 2021, my theater was just closed. And we had a handful of opportunities to reopen, or like we thought we were going to reopen. So like there was 3 or 4 times where I had to start going back to work, and then it would just be like, no, at the last minute, like we're not really reopening, which is fine actually, because every time we were close to reopening, we were not fucking ready anyway. That said, the first major us not reopening was when Tenet came out, and we got right up to like the day before it was going to open, and I just realized like, oh, we're not going to reopen. And that means we're not going to reopen anytime soon. Because like if we miss the Tenet date when like a lot of theaters like in Virginia and stuff reopened, and some of them even before then, we just knew like we're not coming back anytime soon. And in September of 2020, I think I'd only put out like 2 or 3 videos. Like I started making videos a lot more frequently when the pandemic happened than I did in the first year starting the channel. But after September, knowing I was like, you know what, I'm not going to go back to work anytime soon. Many of us are not. I'm just going to treat doing YouTube like this is my actual real job. Like I don't have anything else to do, so I like doing it. I want to grow an audience. I want to make stuff. I want to not go insane in here. And I just started making stuff nonstop, and it was a really fun period, I think. I don't remember a lot of the things that I made for between like October 2020 and like February or like March 2021. I was like just making videos all the time. And I already knew that I was not going to be able to keep up that pace when I went back to work, but I kind of convinced myself I could try. And maybe like 2 months in, it was just like, this is not going to work. I continued making stuff since then, obviously, but like I've never, through 2021, through 2022, now through 2023, I've never quite gotten back into the groove that I wanted to. And I really miss when like it was just all I did. It was obviously that era was not a good time for a lot of us. A lot of people lost a lot of people. A lot of bad things happened all over the place to like a lot of people. But within that, I had this nice little glimpse, I guess you could say, of like what it would be like to just do this stuff full time, And I have friends who make content like full time, and it's very hard. Obviously, it's not like an easy job, even though I know people kind of look at it being like, oh, it'd be fun and just make videos all the time. It's like, nah, man, it's hard. But I liked it, and it felt rewarding in like kind of a different way. Like even if I had videos that like were duds, there was something about the consistent cycle of like going through the process of like writing a video, recording it, editing it, making a thumbnail, doing all the stuff. And like just that cycle of making one was kind of its own thing. Like it was, I guess every YouTuber has this issue. It is very hard once you have the video up to like leave analytics alone and not look at all the numbers and charts and stuff. But if you can temporarily have the restraint to just hit publish and then fucking walk away, the process from idea to upload and publish is like very satisfying. Like it feels very good when you're done. Even if it's not perfect, even if it isn't everything you wanted it to be, like you saw something through to the end and you completed it, you know? And I miss just having that every day almost. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't putting out a video every single day, but I was putting them out very frequently, if you'll recall, or if you want to scroll through the archives. And the pod, I don't want to say it like saved me because that sounds a little bit dramatic. But I feel like this is the closest I've felt in a bit to that era. Cause like, I mean, the pod's different, obviously. Like I'm not it's not a lot of editing really. It's just, fucking with the audio and stuff, and the recording of it itself is, I guess, a little more time consuming, but it has felt very good to 24 weeks in a row say, I'm going to put this out at this exact time every week and to do it. And I really did it. And like, there's not a lot of other stuff I accomplished this year that I feel as proud of as I should. But this is one thing where it's like, I don't even have to kind of like force myself to pat myself in the back on this one. I'm like, no, brother, like fucking 24 weeks in a row hitting that target is like, and again, I don't want to, I know that it's a podcast. Fucking everyone has a podcast. Your brother has a podcast. It's about baseball cards or something. Like everyone has a podcast. So I know it's like, I mean, it's not like I was fucking making sculptures or something, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to sort of misrepresent talking into a microphone for an hour and a half as being like really laborious or what have you. But, and also not to sort of imply that what I do is like a performance per se. Like I try to, I guess, be like the realist version of me possible, but 24 weeks in a row, almost the same day every week. Sometimes I mix it up, but almost the same day every week, just having to like get into the zone to be able to talk by yourself for like over an hour and to hopefully not make it boring or too weird or too what, you know what I mean? Like I going into this had no idea how I was going to do it. Cause I don't even, when I started making YouTube videos, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, like tons, you know what I mean? So like I had a general idea of like what I thought sucked and what I didn't think sucked or what I liked. And podcasts, I have friends who make podcasts and I listen to their stuff, you know what I mean? But I don't really have a bunch of things beyond my friend stuff that I listen to. Sometimes I like interview stuff, like if someone does like really good interviews, like a couple of days ago, this might have been yesterday. I'm so bad at understanding the flow of time, but Chris Van Vliet, really handsome media guy, interviews a lot of wrestlers, did an episode with Matt Cardona, a former WWE superstar, Zack Ryder, who was fired from the company in 2020 and has just been kind of tearing it up on the indies. And it was a really good, it was like an hour, 45-minute hour interview. And it was just really good and cool and kind of inspiring. And listening to, I was never a huge Zack Ryder fan. I never thought he sucked, but I just didn't care about him. And listening to him talk about the hustle and grind of like working independent dates and having to sell his own merch and like having to stay relevant and having to stay, present in wrestling fans' minds without being on weekly television and stuff. It's obviously a very hard job. And like the fact that you travel, a lot, but you're not traveling with a company that books all their dates around the country logistically. You're being booked by various unconnected promotions in various parts of the country and just zigzagging all over the place. And you're always on the road. And like, you could listen to like the logistics, I guess, of that life and be very, very like depressed by it. It sounds awful, but he talked about it with so much verve and like gusto. And you could tell that like, he's challenging himself and he's enjoying it and he's not making excuses, and he's not hyperfixating on some of the things that a lot of wrestling fans hyperfixate on. Like, he's just trying to make money, trying to put on a good show, trying to form a connection with audiences. And I think what he's doing is really cool. I've seen maybe like 3 matches he's worked since going on this whole indie excursion. But I'm probably going to start seeking out more, because I was just really into just the psychology and stuff. Like, he really clearly has a more creative mind for this stuff than I ever thought before. And I don't know, it was cool. But that's the type of stuff I listen to. I listen to interviews with people more than I listen to just people talking. So coming into this pod, I was like, I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what I'm going to like do. I'd wanted to launch one for like a while, because it's fun. Like, podcasting is like fun. Like, I love anytime someone's like, Dom, do you want to do my show? And I'm like, fuck yeah. Is it really? I'm like, yes. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if somebody like I actively hated reached out to me and was like, do you want to be my podcast? I'd be like, yeah, I just like doing this. It's fun. And I always enjoyed being a guest, because you don't have to like, you just show up and just riff and talk to people and try to help them out or whatever. So I was very nervous about, what is it going to be like when it's just me, when I'm the one left to clean up this audio, and I'm the one who has to make sure I don't go off on really bad tangents and lose focus. Like, you know, because I'm not usually great at that. So I was very concerned, and it just ended up being fun. I don't know. There's a handful of episodes I've done. I keep casually being like, like I have like assistants. It's just me. In my head, there's like 3 of me. So I mean, like, talking me, editing me, you know, like the different stages of me, but it's just me. We, us. I sound like Venom. There's a lot of episodes I'm very proud of, in the sense that like, I don't know if this is weird, so sorry if this is too inside baseball, but like, once every couple of weeks, I'll actually just fully listen to a whole episode. I'll just pick one at random and just listen to it all the way through in headphones. And like, mostly at first it was like, well, I want to make sure that this doesn't sound like shit, because I'm not, you know, my audio editing skills are not something I'm particularly proud of. So I just wanted to make sure, like, man, I hope this doesn't sound awful. That was my original intention. But it was more sort of like, I should also figure out if listening to one of these all the way through was worth it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to, you know, be aware if I'm asking for, you know, an hour or more of someone's time. That's a lot of time. And I'm aware that people watch it like at work, or like, you know, like or listen on a commute or whatever. Like, so that's like, I know that's the right way to consume podcast content. But to me, even if you're doing it passively, in my head, I'm thinking, I am asking people, and maybe not like a ton of people, but a good number of people, I'm asking them to give me that time every week. And I just really wanted to make sure I wasn't like ruining that. You know what I mean? Like, not even from the perspective of like, how do I grow this? How do I get more people? It was more like, okay, there already are some people. Let me make sure they're not just like along for the ride out of like friendliness or something, you know? And I've had a couple of episodes that I've listened to where I've been like, you know, I like that guy. I mean, it's just me. But I felt like, yeah, if I didn't know me, I would listen to this. Like, I think it's cool. And it could be hard to like be your own cheerleader or whatever. It could be hard to be like, you kind of have to be like your own biggest cheerleader all the time, right? Like, you can't just rely on other people to motivate you or gas you up and stuff. I do have very wonderful people in my life that do that, so I appreciate it. But there's just parts of the day where, like, you know, no one's around, and you have to motivate you. You can't just like rely on external validation, you know, which is a hard lesson to learn. But yeah, 24 weeks, 24 episodes. I did not think like it was gonna get this far, for real. Like, there was multiple points where I was like, probably gonna like, I kept picking what is a number I could call it at, and then try to like not be ashamed. It was like, all right, 10. If I get to 10, 10's a cool number. I can be like, all right, guys, this was fun, but I don't want to do this anymore. Or to be clear, not even like I don't want to do this anymore. Just more of a like, I don't, you know. It can be hard to like be alone in a room with a microphone and talk, and doing it after like a work day or whatever. And it can be very hard to just like talk about fun things or interesting things or whatever. It's really hard not to get in here and just be like, guess who all has to be my therapist this week? Everyone who clicked on this fucking link, you know? So I was concerned that like, if we keep going, we're just gonna have more episodes that are like, you know, not fun and just like weird introspective and stuff. But, you know, I think we've actually done an okay job of like keeping that measured, not getting too weird with it. So, hey, 24 is really good. It makes me think of the Lana Del Rey song 24, which I think began its life as like a Bond song demo. I have like a favorite Bond songs playlist, and I put that on there because like it feels like a Bond song. I mean, Lana's never gonna get to do one now. I feel like she missed her window, but that's a good song. 24 hours in a day, you know? And yeah, man, I guess I just want to thank everybody again. And I know I say that every week and stuff, but I want to make sure I'm showing gratitude to like, you've all donated, you know, a precious resource, your time, to listen to me talk about like whatever, about like Batman and wrestling and like mise-en-scène and, you know, just whatever shit I'm rambling about. And I appreciate it. It's brought some much needed light into my life. It's like nice, you know what I mean? I have weeks like at my day job where like I just blow hours and hours on like some problem. And then whenever I'm done, I never feel like I've planted a flag in it. You know what I mean? There's never a day where you're like, hey, we did good. Everything's good now. Because the second you fix one issue, something else starts making a funny noise. Or you gotta call like an electrician, or like there's some lady on the phone, this happened, she's mad. Like it's just, it never ends, you know? It can be really hard to get to a point where you're like, we did it. We really, really did it. That's good. And that can suck. Do you know what I mean? Like it can really suck, like putting forth a lot of effort, a lot of energy all the time into something and always feeling like you're losing. Just always feeling like, you know, you're not getting anywhere. And that can be true of content creation. You know what I mean? You put a lot of work into a video or something, and then like it doesn't get the views you think it should have gotten. And then now you're just like agonizing about how much time you put into it and what you're getting out. And the one thing that's really nice about making videos or doing podcasts is like the act of doing it, even when it's hard, can be fun enough that you don't always have to get bogged down by, I don't have as many subscribers as I think I should have, or I don't have as many views as I should have, or what have you. You just feel good that you set out to do something and you finished it. Like it was done. Like you did it and it's over and you accomplished that. And then whatever happens to it now is like extra credit, you know? And I don't get much of that in my day job. There's no extra credit. It's just like, just fix this, please. Someone is mad. Make them unmad. Someone is a bit pissed about this thing. Someone, you know, whatever. So it's been very nice these last few months to be able to come in here at my little desk. I didn't even address this. I'm sorry. I realized we're like 20 minutes in. I not addressed the fact that I decided not to do video in this episode as well. And part of it is like, you guys can't see it because I'm not recording this, and you couldn't have seen it otherwise anyway because I don't show it on camera. But my like desk area is like a fucking goddamn wreck. Like it's so terrible, and like I just have not had the energy to clean it. And like I don't mean like it's gross and like grimy or like that. I'm not like unclean. I just mean there's just stuff everywhere. Clutter. That's it. It's clutter. I don't want you guys to imagine like, I don't know, like fluids or something. It's just clutter. It's like there's like an empty Ensure bottle. There's a comb. There's a container of rubbing alcohol. Don't remember what that was even for. I have a Taylor Swift Eras Tour cup from work that I put ice water in the morning when I take my meds. Yeah, it's just a bunch of shit. But I didn't want to get on camera because I haven't gotten a haircut in like over a month, and like my beard looks terrible, and I kind of hate my hair right now, and like no amount of people being nice and being like, I think it looks kind of cool, is going to change the fact that I just fucking despise it right now. And I'm just very sick of like looking at my face. And I was like, you know what? If I had to end this day just fucking looking at my face for like however long it's going to take to render this video, it'll not be a good day. So we're going to be back doing video the whole time for season 2. I promise. We're going to maybe change how it looks a little bit, but you will see my face for the like 14 of you that miss it. And I just like, I'm not wearing a shirt. So like, I just feel like a little more free right now. I guess nothing's stopping me from just recording the video version of the podcast shirtless. I just don't want to give off the wrong vibe, you know? I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be like a problem, but it feels like it's like a road you go down, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I never have a shirt on. Some people live that shirtless life. I'm not ashamed to be shirtless or afraid of it. I just don't like going outside shirtless. I'll go outside with no sleeves on. I don't give a fuck sleeves. But yeah, I'm shirtless. I'm recording the pod. I've been talking for 20 minutes about the act of making the pod and not anything else. So we will just do the normal thing. We've got some news to talk about this week. Actually, a lot of news for a change. I watched a movie. I rewatched a movie, but I'm going to talk about an interesting wrinkle in my viewing habits that I think is kind of funny. And I'll talk about that for that section. And then I have a question at the end. And then I think I'm actually going to ask you guys some questions. I think I'm going to leave you with some questions and some things you guys can tell me. I like answering questions of yours, obviously, but I'll leave you guys with some stuff so you can ponder and share and talk about things while I'm gone. So let's get to the news. Okay, so I wrote these down, not even in order of like when they happened, I guess, but more just in order of like when I found out about them. I'll lead with kind of like the, I guess, darkest thing is Jonathan Majors was found guilty in his assault case. I'm not Megan Cundiff. Like I didn't write down like the fucking charges and everything and like the whole court reporter version of the story, but suffice to say he was guilty. No amount of people on Twitter being like he's getting railroaded because he, you know, crossed a white woman or whatever. Like none of that stuff really matters. Dude was guilty. I, you know, argue with someone else, but which means that Disney finally came out and said he was just done as Kang. They had already pulled Michael Waldron from writing Avengers Secret Wars to come rewrite the Kang Dynasty, which is now internally being referred to as Avengers 5. So it sounds like they're not even going to bother recasting Kang. They're just going to pivot away from him entirely. And it's just weird because they recasted so many other parts for like far less nefarious reasons. You know, I was of the opinion that they could have recasted T'Challa when Chadwick died, but I understand why they chose not to. But they've recasted Terrence Howard in the Don Cheadle. They've recasted he died. William Hurt died. Now he's going to be, Thunderbolt Ross is going to be played by Harrison Ford. But yeah, the recasting shit is not new to them. Like they could have just put fucking any other actor for real into it. But I think they just don't want people to even think about it, I guess. And I mean, we don't know for sure. They might still do a recasting thing, but them dropping the title internally really makes me think that they're just going to cut out the middleman and just make Secret Wars like twice as long or whatever, you know? Like, I just don't see them sticking to this Kang thing if they can avoid it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Hard to think of another guy fumbling so hard. Like Majors had Creed 3, he had Devotion, he had that Magazine Dreams movie that got pulled. Like he's been working consistently and like well, you know, like I think he's, I mean, it doesn't matter in the context of this, but I think he is a talented actor. I'm not going to pretend like he's always been not any good because he turned out to, you know, be a cretin in this way. But yeah, it's just like a rap basically. And, you know, every time these stories get reported, people start doing the whataboutism of like, well, how come so and so is still getting to make movies? How come this? How come this? And it's like, yeah, it's like a fucked up, gross industry, and it's all based on money and stuff. So like, Disney calculated correctly that if they kept him in this movie, it would probably hurt their already hurting business. And yeah, I don't know, the guys that produced The Continental didn't feel the same way about having Mel Gibson in it. And it probably didn't affect things to have him there. That's why he's working lately. So, I don't know. It kind of hurts to see, I shouldn't say it hurts, it doesn't hurt me, but it's frustrating to see people get into like morality arguments on social media, but they're not really talking about the victims of horrible things. They're sort of just using those as convenient talking points in like fandom arguments. You know what I mean? This has been happening a lot lately with professional wrestling. And like more so than maybe any other industry, I think. Professional wrestling is just densely populated with a lot of unscrupulous figures. And it's very dumb to pick any one wrestler who has indiscretions or issues that you know about and to like morally lord over it. Like, well, my favorite wrestler is this person. He's nice. And this, because almost everyone you like in wrestling, even the people that seem nice, are probably still like besties with at least like one sex pest. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's like the Kevin Bacon game, but worse. There's every professional wrestler you like is in some way connected to someone who is like, fucking sucks. And it's been weird seeing a lot of arguing on Twitter lately of people, be like, this person's a hypocrite and they did this and that means this. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing because I don't want to derail wrestling, but there was specifically someone at Voices of Wrestling, which is a wrestling website that I guess was once decent, but not so much lately. And they had like an op-ed about CM Punk going back to the WWE, and they like explicitly compared him going there and like him causing drama in AEW before leaving. They compared it to like neoconservatism. Like they were like, yeah, he's, it's like, he's like Trump. And it was just this weird thing where it's like, CM Punk is like Trump because he got into a fight with a guy and then got a new job. And it was just crazy because it's like, there's multiple high ranking figures in the promotion that you're defending who voted for that guy, like who voted for Trump, who are conservatives. Like that's a rampant thing in everywhere, but specifically professional wrestling. There's a lot of guys who are very conservative in that space, in that industry. And it was just so weird seeing all these people like try to get like woke points over each other. Like, your favorite wrestler does this. And like, well, my favorite wrestler is pals with a pedophile. And it's just like, I don't know. It was, so I don't know. It was, to me, it was very similar to the stuff I saw with majors where people were just like, what about this? Well, how come this person did that and he's in a movie? And you're just like, I don't know what you want here. Like, do you just want him to get a pass? Like, do you think you can do that in court? Do you think that a lawyer can be like, what about Mel Gibson, Your Honor? Like, it just, I don't know. It's kind of a bummer. Like, I guess I just don't like to see people use sensitive things like that as like bargaining chips in a flame war. I think it's just gross. It's like, you don't give a shit about any of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you don't care about anything. You care about being a stan and like proving that your fave is cool. And it's just like, get fucked. All right. So, another crazy thing that's happening is, apparently Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount, and potentially their parent company, National Amusements Inc., are seeking a merger, not of equals, of unequals. And it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's not that crazy, actually. Like, it makes sense. I think WBD is valued at like $29 billion or something, and then Paramount's like 10. And it seems as though a merger like this could get through without too much antitrust sentiment blocking it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like there's a lot of, I guess because WBD doesn't own like a network, it's not as big a deal. Like that, like, if, Paramount is like CBS, and like if WBD had a network, like it would be problematic for two guys with one of the few networks to get together. I don't really care about this happening, other than, you know, mergers are like generally bad in that they always lead to a lot of people losing their jobs. If two similar companies come together to form one company, there will be a lot of redundancy. There will be a lot of people where it's like, we don't need two of this anymore, you know? And that sucks. It's not ideal. And more consolidation in the entertainment space is frustrating for a lot of reasons. You know, we lose out on choice. And obviously, with WBD being sort of like the bigger fish in this thing, we already see what Zaslav has been doing this whole time. So like there's a bunch of other IP over there for them to just like fuck up and throw away for tax breaks and stuff like that. Like people are not excited about it. I mean, the last time we had a really, really big merger, people don't really care about WBD's merger that much, but when Disney bought Fox and stuff, there at least was like a way for nerds to care, because it was like, you know, MCU's getting the X-Men, yay! Like they didn't care about anyone losing their job or nothing like that. Here, there's not any like clear, obvious entry point into people caring about this. Like, I guess Paramount Plus and Max would become one thing, I guess. Maybe one or the other would have to offload some of their assets that are too similar to the others. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things, you know, like, I don't know if you need to have Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, right? You know, there's a lot that, there's going to be a lot of reverberations from this. And it's kind of crazy, but it's just nuts to think about how, like, these, you know, these big media companies are tethered to this lineage of movie studios. And obviously the movie studios weren't always like upstanding bastions of artistic justice or something, but like the lineage of what Warner Brothers was as a movie studio, the lineage of what Paramount was as a movie studio, to like have that shackled to all this new shit is so funny and weird. And it's been happening for years. Like, this isn't new. Obviously, like, you know, AOL Time Warner, like, you know, there's tons of this history of mergers and stuff, but it's super weird to think that like TCM is now like Turner Classic Movies is like, and this history of these like great classic black and white movies is just right next to fucking the 90 Day Fiance universe. And we're calling it the 90 Day Fiance universe. You know what I mean? Like, that's just nuts. And just thinking about how much stranger it will be to have all the Paramount stuff looped in too. And like, it's just crazy. I mean, you know, we'll see where it goes. I don't have any really strong feelings about it one way or the other than feeling bad that people are definitely going to lose their jobs. But it's just weird. I don't know. Something about it is like, sometimes things merge together and you're like, yeah, that seems right. Like when T-Mobile merged with like Sprint, it was just like, yeah, like it's weird that those two things are one thing, but like one brand's going to usurp the other. Sprint will just go away like other people have gone away. You know, it's not the end of the world. I mean, a lot of people lost their jobs there too, so that sucked. But this is weirder to me, I guess. Just the idea of like, what's the logo going to look like? It's just, who cares, right? Like, it's just whatever. But in my head, I'm just like, what's the logo going to look like? It's going to be weird. I don't know. The only other news thing I guess I wanted to talk about was Aquaman. Looks like it's tracking to, I think they said like $30 to $40 million for Christmas weekend, like including Christmas Day. It is not even really guaranteed to be number one over like Wonka, I don't think. Like Wonka might hold on to the top spot somehow. I didn't see it. Like I had a couple of screenings close to the end of the year that I just like skipped out on. Like I didn't go to Aquaman, I didn't go to Wonka. So I don't know if it's good. Justin and Pat just saw it like right before I started recording and they said it was crazy. So I definitely want to see it. I don't care if it's like sucks. It sounds fun. I don't know. But I saw a weird argument where people were angry that Wonka was being reported on as being like this big triumph and evidence of like Timothée Chalamet's like star power. And Wonka opened last weekend to like, I think $39 million domestic, I think. And that was like considered a triumph. And then the Marvels, as we all know, opened at like 47 mil and it was like the end of the world. And people are like, this is just double standards and this is just people picking on Marvel. And it's like, well, no, one of these movies just cost a lot more. You know, like when it comes to like box office numbers, it's always about context. And I feel like a lot of people don't believe that. They just sort of believe like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. And it's like, yes, it does. It 100% has to do with that. If your movie cost twice as much as my movie made, you can't say, well, we made the same amount, so it's the same thing. Like, no, one of us is losing way more money. And like, also like you're comparing it to like this other lineage of movies that have made way more money than this. Yeah, it's a disappointment. It's a letdown. I think there were definitely critics who were harsher towards the Marvels than they needed to be. And I think some of that stuff was mean-spirited and it's kind of a lazy pile-on. But to pretend that like the raw financial figures and stuff is also like a conspiracy, like, no, people don't want to fucking see it. That happens. And it was just odd to me that people were like arguing this. I mean, I also think it's odd that they were arguing that Timothée Chalamet is like a star or something, because like I don't know that that's true. You know what I mean? Like it's Wonka. It's like a pretty known IP. I'm sure that the strike being over and him being able to sell the movie definitely helped him, but it's hard for me to like think that this is proof of him being a draw, because we don't have other. I mean, like Dune did good. I mean, we'll see what happens with Dune 2, but even that, it would be hard to say that's Timmy. Timmy's in there. He's the fucking guy. You know, it's hard to say he's the draw. I wish him well on his journey to becoming his generation's like movie star person, but I'm not ready to call Wonka like an important stepping stone in that journey. Until I see it, I don't know, maybe I'll see it and become like a Wonka head and just like defend it ardently in conversations. It's possible. It could happen. So yeah, I guess that's like the news. I do want to talk a little bit about what I watched. So I only watched a movie this week. A few nights ago, I came home. I mean, like I watch wrestling and stuff. Like I still just watch wrestling every week. But when I was done, so something I do a lot, and like sometimes I don't do it a lot, but lately I've been doing it a lot, is at the end of the night, like when like my day is over, when like I'm not looking at my email anymore and there's no new crises or problems to solve or what have you, I just watch TikTok until I pass out. I know you shouldn't be looking at screens late at night. It's not good for you. But for me, I found that like 1 hour or so of TikTok before bed, like actually kind of puts me to sleep. Like it just sort of lulls me to sleep. Like I get to a point where I'm like, I actually feel like I've seen enough screen for the day. I feel like I've consumed enough content and I'm like, okay, it's time for bed now. And probably unhealthy, probably bad. I could probably be reading a fucking book. I haven't read a book in a while. I probably could have read several books if I was not on TikTok. But that's what I do. And I mean, you know, I look at a lot of food content. I like watching people make sandwiches with very loud, like Foley, you know, like where it's just like a guy slapping a knife down really hard and like, I don't know how that sounds, but like, you know what I'm talking about. I like watching people talk about like fitness for whatever reason. Like sometimes I think I enjoy listening to like fitness influencers talk. Not that many of them, mainly just like Sam Sulek. I think he's funny. And he looks like a Rob Liefeld drawing. And I just like listening to him talk about like cheat meals and like arm day and shit. Like he's entertaining to me. I think he's fun. I'll, you know, see like weird memes about music or whatever. It's TikTok. You guys know you know what's on fucking TikTok. But something that I think I've talked about before in a video. I don't remember if I have. I feel like I did. So I'm sorry if I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit, but people upload movies onto TikTok, like piece by piece or shows. And it's illuminating to me in a couple of ways. One is that like every time I see a clip of something, unless it is like a new streaming original only populated by like really young people, all those things are interchangeable to me. But anything else, I usually know immediately what it is, even if it's something I've never seen. Like I watch a lot of movies, so like I know if I see this actor and then I see this actor, it's probably this one movie they did together. You know what I mean? But a lot of people in the comments are always like, what movie is this? And they say that, and sometimes they're kidding, I guess. Like, that's kind of like a bit. But sometimes I'm like, how do you not know this movie? Because oftentimes it's like, this was a big movie. This was very popular, and you just don't know what the fuck it is. And of course you get people who are like, what movie is this? And they'll just lie to the people, which sometimes I think is funny, and sometimes I'm like, hey, just fucking tell them. Don't be a dick. I know I alternate. But I don't know how to describe it. But sometimes I'll see a scene from a movie that I like. And I'll watch the scene in TikTok clip form. Then I'll go to that page to see if they uploaded other scenes. And a lot of times they're just uploading the movie like a few minutes at a time. So I'll just watch the movie from whatever point I scrolled to whenever that person stops uploading clips, like if they haven't finished. And then I'll just go on to something else. And occasionally a movie is strong enough where I'm like, I have to fucking finish this. So a few nights ago, I had a really long day and I was just whatever scrolling, and then I saw a scene from Spotlight. Who the fuck directed Spotlight? The fuck is that guy's name? I'm gonna look it up. I don't remember. Fuck. Tom McCarthy? Was that his name? Letterboxd, save me. Save me, Letterboxd. Tom McCarthy. Yeah, Tom McCarthy directed this movie, written by Josh Singer and Dom Griffin, and it is a movie about the Boston Globe investigating the church and like sexual abuser, pedophile priests. It won Best Picture the year in like 2015, 2016. And I remember the year it came out, people were like, I can't believe this boring, dry ass movie won Best Picture. What a weak movie year. And I saw it when it came out, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I didn't think it was crazy. And it is kind of a flat movie, but I felt, well, the subject matter, I mean, like journalism, like really good journalism is not always like flowery and showy and, you know, stylized. So it makes sense that the movie would be kind of a meat and potatoes drama. So I liked it. I thought it was good. And then I watched it again a little bit, like maybe a few months later, a month later or something. And I still liked it. And then I think I planned to revisit it when The Post came out, because I wasn't as crazy about The Post. I saw that a couple of times, and I still feel like Spotlight was better. I also felt like The Post would have been better if like Michael Keaton was Ben Bradley instead of Tom Hanks. But that's just because I'm a Michael Keaton head. So anyway, I watched a few scenes, and I think the point where the person had stopped uploading parts of Spotlight was the Mark Ruffalo bit. You know, my friend Mike Kelly, I don't know if Mike's listening to this. I miss you, Mike. My friend Mike Kelly used to do like a really good Mark Ruffalo yelling in the Spotlight trailer. Like, they knew and they did it to kids. Like, it's not a funny scene, very obviously, but if you'd seen that trailer several times leading up to the movie, and the only thing that of note happens in it is Mark Ruffalo yelling that, like it's got kind of it's not quite as funny as Sean Penn saying, "Is that my daughter in there?" in Mystic River, but it's pretty close. So I got to the, you know, they knew. I got to that scene, and then I was like, oh, no more fucking clips, whatever. Then I was like, nah, fuck it. I gotta watch this. And this is the first time I think I've ever done this. I re-downloaded Macs on my phone. I am a weirdo who falls asleep next to my MacBook. Didn't reopen it because I was like, no, we're done with big screen. We've only agreed to do little screen until bed. So I watched the rest of Spotlight on my phone in bed until it was over, and then I fell almost right asleep. And it was really good. I mean, fucking Spotlight's a really good movie. And this time, what I thought was my third time watching it, I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck yeah. I had all these like things to say, and I went to go log it on Letterboxd, before bed, because I'm a creature of habit. And I saw that I did this in March already, and I came to the movie the same way. Like, this is the funniest shit that I somehow just didn't remember this. March 19th. Decided to give this a rewatch after watching 7 TikTok vertical video clips from the movie, but then the person stopped uploading the clips. Graciously, they weren't split screens with racing game footage, heavy filters, or melodramatic added on top. Melodramatic added on top? What the fuck? If you guys ever read on my Letterboxd reviews, I really do write them like immediately, and I don't look through what I type, so they all have a lot of bad typos and stupid things. I feel like this movie gets a bad rap and isn't ranked high enough in recent Best Picture winning rankings, but I think it's damn good. It's a really good movie. I fucking really like the movie. And it's funny to me that I guess every few months I'm going to revisit it because of TikTok. I think that's very funny. And then it got me thinking about how much, like, I haven't watched any movies, like, in a couple of weeks, basically. But I forgot how much fun it is just watching scenes from movies sometimes. And I don't watch television very much anymore. But, back in the day, you're channel surfing, you pass a TNT new classic or something, and you see a part of a movie, and there's certain movies you just have to watch till the end, because you just, it doesn't matter that you didn't see the opening. You get to, like, Coming to America, I've watched so many times just because of television. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I pass Coming to America, I'll watch the whole movie. Commercials, edited, I don't care. Whatever, I will watch it. And there's other movies like that too, but Coming to America is probably like the top one. I guess Top Gun used to be a movie like that for people, but it wasn't for me. Yeah, and like what's weird now is sometimes the movies you click by are like newer. Like I'll turn to like TNT or TBS to watch like Dynamite or Rampage, and there's always an Avengers movie ending. I'm always like, that's so weird. And you look and it's like, oh, this is like movies like 10 years old, but in your head it doesn't feel that way. But I guess now, like, the TikTok algorithm and YouTube is like the replacement for that. Like, because I don't channel surf very often, watching YouTube, and sometimes I go to YouTube to look for a specific clip of something. Like, I don't want to go see if this movie is streaming. I just want to see this one line reading. I just want to go see this one moment or this one shot or something. And sometimes you look up and they have exactly what you're looking for, and the algorithm's just like, hey, you want to see this scene from Moneyball? And then all of a sudden you're watching Moneyball again. Like Moneyball, The Big Short. There's a handful of these movies from like the last like 10 years that are just like prime cut up on TikTok and YouTube movies. Wolf of Wall Street is definitely one. And now Spotlight is one. The Martian is a pretty good one too. I've rewatched The Martian for this very reason. And it kind of got me thinking about Quentin Tarantino. When I was younger, and I've always been a Tarantino head, but when I was younger, I like really, really liked the guy a lot more than I guess I do now. When I was younger, I remember Tarantino talking about how he considers his movies kind of like albums, and that every scene, every sequence is like its own track. And then if you want to revisit them, you don't always have to rewatch the whole movie. You can just revisit your favorite tracks. That may or may not be something he really said. I didn't go look for the quote, but it's something that stuck with me, even if it's an imaginary quote that I heard from somewhere else wrongly. And I've always treated his movies like that. Like Kill Bill is a movie I used to rewatching random scenes that I liked. Or Inglourious Bastards, I will revisit the opening sequence and then the Michael Fassbender in the basement bar sequence by themselves plenty of times. Django, I think I like more in scene form than full form. Pulp Fiction used to do that with back in the day. Pulp Fiction is really good for it, obviously. But I guess I don't do that very often with newer movies. And now I guess I do, but it's not like I'm personally choosing to. It's just, someone uploaded this one scene on TikTok and then it just reminded me, oh yeah, that was a banger. I gotta go check that out. And something about it's very comforting. I don't know. It's like this thing you just remember. Sometimes you remember a movie in the sense of like the whole thing is this really big achievement or a really great story or a great package. And really what sticks with you are the moments, So like this year, there's been a lot of great movies, and some of them, you want to revisit a moment or a scene, but you don't necessarily want to go to the theater and rewatch it. And I get so, as much of a bummer it is that theatrical windows are getting shorter, et cetera, I get so excited when I hear that a movie I liked in theaters has hit VOD, because it means people are going to pirate it and then post HD quality clips to Twitter. So I will randomly be scrolling Twitter and then just see like one of the best scenes of the year. And that's not ideal for obvious reasons, but for me, I've already seen the fucking movie. I don't care. It's really great. So I've rewatched the like sort of like climax of Oppenheimer like 10 times this week, because different people keep uploading it. Like different people keep uploading Jason Clarke yelling it at Cillian Murphy, intercut with Robert Downey Jr. being like, fuck this guy and stuff. And like, I love that whole scene. It's so good. And I just run it back and run it back and run it back. I watched it again 5 minutes before I came in here to record, actually. And it's kind of fun. I mean, like, I haven't done that with Killers of the Flower Moon yet, because I haven't done like a full rewatch yet. And I want to do a full rewatch before I just like start, picking the bones, I guess. But sometimes if you're going to have a day or a week where you don't feel like you can stick with movies the way you want to, it's cool to just dip your toe back in. It's cool to like just kind of, hey man, tonight I don't have it in me for a whole movie, but right before bed I gotta watch the I Am the Shadows monologue from the Batman. I just gotta get that in real quick. I'm not gonna rewatch the whole movie. It's kind of long, but just tonight I need that. I need that monologue, and I think it's really fun. I don't know. It's like one of my favorite things lately. It helps me with having like not watched a movie guilt. If a whole week, one thing the pod has done for me is like if a whole week passes where I didn't watch any movie, I'm like, what am I going to talk about on the pod? And like that has actually given me more motivation to watch movies than anything has in the past. And it's cool because it doesn't feel like homework. It's not like I got to go watch a movie and then I got to make a video about it and I got to research it and da-da-da-da. No, it's just like, let's watch some stuff so we can talk about some stuff. So I feel really good that this habit is like a good way to kind of keep me busy on weeks where I otherwise don't have the attention span or patience or whatever for like a full movie, So thank you, Spotlight, one of the most TikTokable movies ever made, and all of your ilk in every movie in that sort of genre of stuff you can clip up on YouTube. You know what's actually good for about Spotlight, and part of why it works so well, is that because it doesn't have like a crazy style, you can crop in to the vertical frame and mostly just get the reverse shot. Like some people don't know how to edit vertical video very well, so like they just you can tell because like it'll when it intercuts like an over the shoulder, it's just a dead space in the frame because they didn't like frame it up in the new whatever, how it goes. But whoever uploaded the Spotlight stuff, it was great because it was just going back and forth between the single shots and the close-ups and the reactions, and it felt very natural. And I don't know that it would have worked as well if it was a movie that had like a more like adventurous blocking or things like that. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of Spielberg doesn't really work on TikTok. And most of the time that I do see a Spielberg movie on TikTok, it isn't in vertical format. They just keep the whole frame in the middle of the thing. Like I've seen Catch Me If You Can. Catch Me If You Can is another pretty good TikTok movie. I've seen Catch Me If You Can on there, and yeah, no one. It's like I don't think it's right. I don't want to crop. I don't want to crop Spielberg. I don't want to miss out on the stuff. I mean, most of the people, I guess, Wolf of Wall Street, they do that because they don't care about it being Scorsese. A lot of the people that clip that movie just like that movie. But it's fun. I don't know. It's a fun thing. So yeah, if you're one of those people that like thinks TikTok is evil and you think it's bad, and it probably is, what you see on it is very determined by what you like. Every other social media platform, the algorithm is so not right. It's always like, why are you showing me this? I don't want to see this. TikTok is usually like, no, this is cool. I did want to see Christopher Walken telling the story about the mouse in the cream or whatever from Catch Me If You Can. I did want that. I didn't know I wanted that, but I wanted that. So give TikTok a chance. Give movie talk a chance. You never know when you're going to want to rewatch, just some random thing Tony Shalhoub was in once or whatever. You never know. Sometimes TikTok will just be like, hey, you haven't seen Stanley Tucci in a minute, have you? No, I haven't. Oh, fuck, he's here? Sick! Let's see what Tucci is doing. So that's all I watched this week, and probably all I'll watch this upcoming week. Well, no, that's not true. Monday's Christmas. For the first time in years, not the first, but one of the only times in my adult life, I will not be working on Christmas or going to the movies on Christmas. I'm going to watch the Doctor Who Christmas special. I haven't decided what Christmassy movies I'm going to rewatch, if any, to be honest. I might just watch a movie. I might just watch movies I want to watch. I don't know. I haven't decided. But I might just see where TikTok takes me. All right. We only have one question this week. And that question, as I fumble around for my phone. Oh, okay. Here we go. Question is from JM. Question for the pod. Since you seem about as obsessed with crime dramas and police procedurals as I am, what do you think about Joe Pennell and David Fincher's Mindhunter? Should Fincher drop everything he's doing and get to work on a revival? With all due respect, Fincher is one of the GOATs, but in my opinion, his post-Gone Girl films have paled in comparison to the forward and Tench mysteries. Should David F. just accept the fact that he's more suited to television than cinema in this part of his career? That is a really good only question for the episode, dude. Thank you. So I was very late to Mindhunter. I like Fincher, seen all his movies, huge fan. I even was in House of Cards for a while, largely because of him, until it just kind of got like unwatchable. But Mindhunter season 1 is like really fucking good. It's like so good. It really is just like catnip for if you like Zodiac, basically. And then season 2, I feel like the writing is very different. Season 2 feels very different, but it's still a very good show. And I'll be honest, as much as I liked both seasons, when they were like, we're not coming back for a third, and people were like losing their shit, I was like, I felt satisfied by the 2 we got. I wasn't clamoring for a third season, and I was also worried, like, I don't know if they can keep this going for much longer. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that a third season would be worth it. And a lot of TV time things, like when I was younger, I was constantly into shows that would get canceled early and we'd all be mad, like, bring this back, bring that back. Now we live in a world where a lot of shows get canceled and get brought back within like 2 or 3 years, for, unscrupulous business related reasons. And every time it happens, it just kind of feels like, like there hasn't been a show that went away and came back where I was like, yeah, it's always been like, okay, I guess. So when Mindhunter was like, quote unquote, done, I was like, all right. I mean, I am too. That's fine. More time for Fincher movies. I like his movies. And I always prefer filmmakers to do movies than television because I like when someone can tell different stories. And by that, I mean like actually going off to do different stuff. The Killer is very different than Mindhunter, but I like that it's different. Like after I get 2 seasons of something, I'm probably good. Unless it's like one really good ongoing story. Like, okay, The Bear. I like The Bear a lot. Very different than Mindhunter, obviously. They're doing a season 3, but if they weren't, I wouldn't be mad. Like both seasons are really good, and I'm cool with that. Like if I have a certain amount of something, I'm like, that's fine. That's okay. I don't need more. Just because of this, the probability that it'll get worse, especially with television. So I don't feel like I'm clamoring for more Mindhunter. And the part of your question that's actually like sticking in my mind right now is not necessarily Mindhunter specifically, but should Fincher just do more television? Should he just stick with that and Netflix? And I don't know. I like all the memes. Oh my God, I'm yawning. I'm so sorry. I like all the memes that are like, Fincher essentially kind of helped birth the Netflix original. And it's like the Oppenheimer face of like, what he has wrought, But yeah, I guess it just depends. I would be cool with him doing another show if it was a whole new thing. I don't really need more Mindhunter, even though I liked it a lot. I don't need more. I would like to see him maybe get pushed in a different direction or something. I don't know what that would be. I don't even know what he's supposed to be doing next, actually. But I mean, I love him. So whatever it is, I'll check it out, you know? Sometimes I wish he worked faster, but then he wouldn't be. I mean, so much of what he does is from the meticulousness, is from the taking the time and stuff. So I guess I don't really want to wish that on him, but yeah. I guess I just don't. No, I don't think I really need a third season of Mindhunter. And I also don't think it's going to happen. I think the Fincher's explanation that like the show is very expensive to produce, like to do it well is very hard to do. And then ultimately there's not a lot of people that care. I think it kind of takes, I don't know what the word is for it. I don't want to say chutzpah, but I think it's a good thing that he is able to go, hey, I want to do this. The resources do not balance out with the actual public interest, so I'm going to move on to something else. I think that kind of is noble, and maybe not noble. I can't get the right word for this. I just think it's cool that he's not like just going to keep hitting his head against a wall over it. He's just like, I'll go do other shit. You know, like, I don't know if it's just he's getting older or what, but it's just like, no, I did that. It was good. I can go do other things now. So I sort of support that. Not everybody gets to have Steven Soderbergh as a fave, where you get like 2 television series, 3 features, a web series, a short film. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get all this shit constantly. So you're never really hungering for stuff. You just look up one day and he's like, hey, I got a new feature coming out in a week. You're like, oh, okay, thanks, bro. Obviously Fincher does not work at that pace for a million reasons, but I don't know what he's going to do next. I would be cool if it was a show. I mean, yeah, I do think it's fun. If nothing else, it's cool him doing television where sometimes the director will do the pilot of the first couple of episodes as a show, and then the other directors that come in don't really take cues from him the right way. Like, they'll just try to mimic his style, and it always feels like shitty. Every time Fincher has started a show, I feel like they've had pretty good direction without him. There's been like a good number of directors who can maintain a pretty high standard. Maybe not Fincher level standard, but I think that it's good. I think it's always a nice thing, and I'd like to see some more of that in television for sure. Thanks, man. It was a really good question. I really appreciate it. So I am going to leave you guys with a few questions. You can put them in the comments, obviously, or if you're listening to the audio version, you can email me or something, or you know how to reach me. But I have 3 major questions for you guys that I just want to hear. First question is, what movie watching experience was the most important to you this year? And important can mean whatever it kind of needs to mean for you. I just mean that, like, whether you watch it at home, on your phone in bed, whatever, in a theater, what movie, and it doesn't have to be necessarily the movie itself, but like when I say watching, I mean like the experience. Like, what movie movie viewing experience meant the most to you this year? The second question is, what movie are you like genuinely looking forward to next year? Like, what is the movie that you're like, I gotta have this movie in my veins before 2024 is done? What movie is that for you? And then the third question is, what is your New Year's resolution? I know that's a little corny, and I don't really do resolutions usually, but I am curious to know if you have one, or if you can just tell me if you just like don't believe in them or you don't like them or something. That's cool too. But I'm just curious. A lot of really cool, interesting, and charming and friendly people watch my stuff and listen to my stuff, and I always like hearing just your thoughts on stuff. You know, I'll answer those 3, I guess, to make it a good prompt or whatever. My favorite movie experience this year. It's actually kind of hard. I had a lot of theatrical experiences this year. Sometimes I have very good movie viewing experiences just at home, just watching a movie on my computer or like on TV. But this year, I would say, Seeing John Wick Chapter 4 with my boy Cody was a really cool experience because seeing that movie in like a packed theater at a theater, and like it was a pretty good screen too. It was just such a unique up and down like thrill ride. You know what I mean? I do remember there was a part where Cody fell asleep because he and I are both cartoonishly overworked. And I was mostly just impressed that he was even able to, because the movie's so like high octane or whatever. But it was really, watching movies with friends is always really, really good. It's like always the most important thing to me. And there were so many specific moments in the movie that I would have excitedly later wanted to talk to him about. And it was really good that he was there for them in the moment. I could just be like, we just look at each other like, that was rad. Oh my God, that was cool. And I think that might be my favorite this year, actually. There's other movies I saw that I maybe liked more than John Wick, but that was really nice. In terms of movies I'm really looking forward to in 2024, I feel like 2024 doesn't have as much to look forward to because of all the post-strike restructuring. Like, I guess I'm looking forward to Dune 2. I guess I'm looking forward to see just how bad Deadpool 3 is going to be. But there's not anything else coming where I'm like really amped. It's kind of a bummer, actually. Like, I like having a movie that's like no matter how hard it gets, I gotta stay alive through this movie. Like the Batman was that movie for like a while. So when I finally saw it, it was really, really cool. I guess the Batman Part 2, but that's a ways off. Like all the movies I'm very, very, very curious about are all like 2025 and beyond now. So I don't know what the fuck we're going to do next year. I'm sure there's going to be a handful of movies that I've just forgot about or don't realize are coming out. I guess right now the movie I'm the most excited about for 2024 is Hitman, the Linklater Glenn Powell movie. There's got to be something bigger than that though. I don't know what, but probably something. Oh, fuck. I can't believe I forgot. Bong Joon-ho is doing that Mickey 17 movie with Robert Pattinson. That sounds fucking tight. That's probably my most excited thing for next year. And then New Year's resolution. I don't think I had one last year. The main thing I really want to do differently in the new year is I want to be a more consistently grateful and positive person. In 2023, I have had a lot of moments of weakness and a lot of moments where it's just very easy to get hung up on negativity and a lot of stuff that's just like, just blah, you know? And I feel like most of my life I've always been a pretty upbeat person. I feel like I usually try to bring a lot of positivity into the lives of others. And this year, I don't think I did a very good job with that. I don't feel like I really did great in that arena. And I felt like this year I was making some real headway, fighting a lot of like negative self-talk and like fighting against a lot of like my like worst habits and things like that, you know? And in these last few months, I feel like I just like completely gave up on all of that. And in the new year, I mean, I guess every new year people have that feeling of like, I'm going to do all these things differently because it's a new year. And like, you can do things differently whenever the fuck you want. You don't have to wait for the new year. You don't have to wait for the start of a new week. You can just do whatever, you know, like you own your own life. But I was talking to a friend the other day and I was like, man, you know, people don't say like this year's going to be my year anymore. Remember people used to just say that? Used to be like, this year's going to be my fucking year. We're going to do this and this and this. And I feel like no one does that anymore because like the last like several years have been like the worst year, like successively. And I think now people are just like, because like imagine if you were like 2020 is gonna be my year, and then 2020 happened, you're like, fuck, maybe I jinxed it. So I feel like people don't do that anymore, or maybe I just don't know people that do that anymore. But I'm fucking bringing it back. I told someone, and I really meant this, that I feel like the only way I am dragging my exhausted carcass across the fucking finish line that is the end of this year is through sheer delusion that incredibly magical and undeniable moments of greatness await me in the future, and that 2024 is going to be so fucking special. It is going to be magnificent. It's going to be marvelous. I'm going to be the best me that there has maybe ever been. And like nothing is going to get in the way of that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of things are going to try. I'm sure there will be setbacks and misfortune, and there will be annoyances and irritants and stressors, and there's going to be a lot of that shit. It's never going to go away, ever. That's just life. But I think I might genuinely be like indestructible. Like I think that maybe I can't be beat is how I've been feeling these last couple of days. I 1,000,000% still feel like extremely run down and tired and negative and all these things. But like, I keep having these little moments the last few days where I've been like, okay, but like, you're like 37. How many years have you just been like, oh, this sucked and that sucked and everything is bad or whatever. And like, you're still like not dead. Obviously statistically, as I get older, it's becomes increasingly likely that I might just like, my like heart might explode or something. But you made it really far, and like a bunch of things that you thought have been like the end of you, and like none of them have been. And it's like, what if there just isn't one? Like, I don't think I'm going to live forever necessarily, but I'm starting to think that like I might just live so much longer than I ever thought when I was younger. I know sometimes people talk about how when they were a teenager, they couldn't imagine making it to like 30, you know? And I was pretty surprised when I made it to 32. I'm not going to lie. And I kind of every year since, it's like, fuck, another one? Psh, all right. You know, no matter how bad a year gets, no matter how shitty things happen, whatever, like when you get to the end of one, there's just something about achieving that. It's like, yeah, you know what, man? Didn't get me down. Didn't get me. I love Raging Bull, and I love the moment when De Niro as Jake LaMotta is like just yelling, "You never got me down, Ray." I mean, he gets the shit beat out of him in that scene. He essentially is like courting it because of his own issues. But like, I've always tried to kind of cling to that. Like, yeah, you know what? Like, fuck, half the time, no one's going to be harder on me than I am. I'm not going to let anything else like get in my way anymore. Maybe ever again. I just feel, I don't know, it's a little scary, man. I feel just kind of like, yeah, going into this new year, what could conceivably stop me? What could conceivably be strong enough to fucking go toe to toe with me and win, you know? Now, again, I called this delusion a few minutes ago, but I mean, shit, it might not be. I might just be right. I might just be very correct. This might not be a prediction. It might be a spoiler that just, I'm just going to fucking crush it in a way that I've maybe never crushed it before. And the only thing that is really cool about that is that I'll probably crush it more the year after that too. Like, I genuinely just sort of feel like I'm going to be around for a while, like a good long while, I think. And I feel like the part of your Wikipedia entry that's like shitty stuff that you get to reference later when you're like giving a speech to someone or something, where you're like, you know what it is? I cannot wait at this point to be in my era where I get to walk around like a fucking dick and talk about having $7 in my pocket like The Rock. Like, I just can't, I don't know if I can manage to be more obnoxious than he is about that, but when I get into my $7 in my pocket era and you guys are like, Tom used to be cool, but now he's a little bit insufferable, you still have to clap for me, because you'll know how happy I am to have gotten to the point that I get to be that fucking insufferable, because it'll mean I have found measures of success and joy that preclude me from caring if I sound obnoxious. And if there's a future version of me who doesn't care if he sounds like The Rock when he talks to people, I just know that guy's like so good. He's just good. He is not worried about a fucking thing. And I think I've done a lifetime of worrying, and I'm very excited to potentially be that oblivious, to be that just like out of touch. Like I think it could be really cool, man. I think it could be really rad to just like wake up and just have no, I don't want to say have no worries. Obviously, there's always gonna be worries in life, but like, man, to be able to look back at all of the things I've ever complained about or whined about or like been frustrated about as just like character development is just like, well, we just had to have those chapters to get to this. Man, that's really comforting. The idea that's like in my future, like I'm going to get to that point by hook or by crook. I'm going to get the loot, the crook, the warrant. I'm going to do all of it. I'm going to fucking find Carmen Sandiego. I'm going to nail that bitch. And I mean in the sense of like the way like prosecutors talk about it in court. I don't mean I'm going to like fuck Carmen Sandiego. Anyway, yeah, I've got this good feeling, and I just sort of think that 2024 is going to be some like real shit. It's going to be really cool, and I'm stoked. And I couldn't have gotten there without everyone listening to this. You guys are all just wonderful, and I love you all so much. So, if you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, you should subscribe. You should hit the notification thing so that your phone will just randomly be like, hey, Dom's got a new thing. I think you'd like that. And if you're just listening to this in audio version, just thanks for rocking with me. Thanks for sharing it with your friends. Thanks for everything, man. You guys have really been one of the best things in my life this year. Not even going to be like self-deprecating about it and make a joke about how weird that is. Just really genuinely grateful. And I love everyone. And I will see you all in season 2. We'll talk soon.